I'm Andrew McCrae, host of Farming the Countryside. Conservation is important to us here on our multi-generational farm in Missouri, and we continue to be inspired to try new things based on the shared experiences of other producers. There's no better proving ground for climate-smart practices than working farms and ranches. We're visiting operations around the country to learn how conservation is driving agriculture into the future for healthier soils, improved yields, more resiliency to weather, and diverse habitats that benefit both farming and the ecosystem around us. Today we're in Maryland.
We're in Roostburg, Maryland. We're not in the city, we're in the suburbs of Roostburg, which is a little area, a crossroads with about 20 people outside of Centerville, Maryland. We're on Relief Farm. I am an organic poultry grower, and then I rent out the cropland to a local farmer.
Nancy Metcalf, I'm the district conservationist here in Queen Anne's County. We're here to talk about the CSP program that Andrew's participated in and to talk about what opportunities there are for other landowners. You're looking at a producer's operation and seeing what their objectives are overall for the big picture for them, and then thinking about the different programs that we have and how those programs can possibly help them accomplish some of those things.
The CSP activities that I've done here have been related to the farmstead and the pasture areas that I have for the organic chickens, and also in some pasture I have at home. I have planted trees in the pasture, and for the chickens it's been fruit trees to give them shade and also something to eat. I went with primarily peach trees. I had the idea that if I'm going to plant trees, I might as well plant something that has a little fruit that the chickens can eat the fruit or eat the bugs that eat the fruit. So that's why I didn't want anything that would get real tall. And then because it's also in the pasture and also qualifies under shade, I planted crepe myrtles on the other sides.
This is unique. Being an organic chicken farm, and part of the requirement for that is to have shade for the chickens because they are supposed to be out on pasture when they can be. And Andrew was the first person that I've worked with who even suggested that he wanted to plant trees. And so CSP had an enhancement for tree planting that was to plant trees that were food producing for wildlife or for humans. He came up with a planting plan for his chicken pastures to add those trees in here to create shade and food source for the chickens.
The Maryland landowners specifically, I think they can be leaving a lot on the table when it comes to forestry CSP. If they have a forest management plan, everything in that plan, those recommendations, we can act on those. Say a woodland that is neighboring a crop field that the landowner hasn't done anything with. You know, it's just sat there and they're not getting any income from it. They might see wildlife as an objective. The way it sits, what you're depending on is the marketability of that timber. So say it's not marketable, you know, what do you do from there? You're not gonna get a payout that's really gonna entice any kind of loggers to come in and do the work. That's where our incentives come in. We see the stand and we know there's room for improvement to meet your objectives. And what we can do is provide a financial incentive every year for CSP to address those practices. So you're not necessarily depending on the income you might get or that is generated from that timber harvest. You have other income coming in from forestry CSP, and that can really get the job done, get your objectives met.
If you're a landowner and you have any intention of actively managing your woodland, then you have opportunity in this program. If you wanted to do a timber harvest even, you could work with a licensed forester and then work with us and create a timber harvest plan that's going to benefit wildlife or improve the overall stand and the longevity of your stand. And all of that could be encompassed in a CSP contract. There's a lot of folks out there that could benefit from the program. For CSP, it gives you opportunities to maybe try some practice that you haven't really tried before. I think the biggest thing that a producer needs to know, whether you're a forestry landowner or if you're a cropland landowner, that the minimum payment is $1,500 a year. And you could get that for 5 years for a total of $7,500 over that 5-year period. And all you have to do is be a FSA participant. You have to have your farm records with FSA, and then you have to meet 2 resource concerns on the land uses. You don't have to commit to a large practice or a large extent or anything complicated. There's a really big list of enhancements that you can choose from. I would think a lot of people would be able to find something that they'd be able to do that wouldn't be a big financial burden on them, and they'd be able to take advantage of the program.